Okay, so now let's talk about trying to loop this to be a little bit cooler. So let's you can kind of see a little bit of repetition happening here, right? So what I would do in this case is I would add that sort of structure I was sort of talking about before, which of course I've thrown out now, but I'm going to do that Boolean continue, which I'm going to assume is going to be false. I'm going to yeah, no, sorry, I'm going to assume it's going to be true, and then I'm going to go basically while Boolean continue is basically true. It's going to do some stuff, and then, but the first thing I'm going to do, I really encourage you guys to do this to make sure you don't get into an infinite loop where it'll basically run forever. Is put in your pulling the chord switch right now. So I'm going to go. Str continue is assigned input. Do you want to continue? Question mark. And I'm going to say if the str continue is equal to yes, then colon, then continue, which basically just means it'll leave the if, and then at this point it'll fall out and go back up to the beginning of the Boolean continue. Else, again with the colon, Boolean continue is assigned false. All right, so let's test that guy out first to make sure that he's doing what we're expecting him to do. And of course he's not, because there's a colon there. What am I doing with the colon? Let's visualize that execution again, close my chain. So there's my empty list. There's Boolean continue. Do I want to continue? Yes, I do. I'm going to hit the submit. And is this guy continue? Yes, it is. I go next. Always good to sort of run through these things through a visualizer just to make sure that that it's working. So I do this. It's now going to become false. It's going to go back up. It's false, and so it's going to fall to the next thing. Okay, good deal. All right, so that's awesome. I wish I had this kind of stuff, by the way, when I was learning to code, but whatever. All right, so now what I want to do is I got the engine working. I want to basically take this kind of idea, these ideas ultimately, and put them into my little loop engine. So probably the best strategy here will be, we're just going to go with what are the sales, and we're just going to put in a bunch of sales. All right, so I'm going to have a variable which I'm going to call the float sales. Actually, I can even go donut sales. Donut sales is fine. Donut sales is assigned, and this will be basically this float. Oh, okay, I think I have an idea what happened in my last video, but whatever. We're going to keep moving forward. What are the sales? Actually, sales for today, we'll say. All right, so what are the sales for today? So there's float sales for the day. Let's run this guy again. Don't make too many changes before you, before you continue. You want to basically test your stuff and make sure it's doing what you think it's doing. There it is, and now I know the rest of this is going to work. Do I want to continue? Nah, and then I'm going to bail out, and off it goes. Okay, I'm not going to test that. I just tested it out. Right? So there's my sales there. Now here's the new point. So I've got my sales, and I'm going to go the list donuts, append it with this value. Okay, so I'm going to go visualize that execution. I'm going to go next. While it's going to go in, what are the sales for today? They're going to be $20. We're going to hit the enter button and $20. And now here comes the list donuts, currently empty. We go next, boom, it now has 20 bucks in it. Do I want to continue? I sure do. Let's get some of those first few rows in there, or values, not rows. I'm going to go submit. So this is going to be yes. It's going to go and then continue. It's going to go up to the top. Is that true? It is true. We go next. Float sales is asking me again. Let's go 30 just for something different. I hit the submit button, and the donut sales variable is 30. I'm about to append that variable to the end of the list, to the donut list. I go next. Boom, it's now been appended. So you can kind of see this thing is slowly being built. Let's do it one more time. Y. And that's a Y. So we're going to now continue because they're both Y. Boom. Goes up to the top. Is this true? It sure is. It's going to go back in. Here's my float variable. Again, doing an input. What are the sales for today down here? I'm going to go 40. I'm going to hit the submit button. Bang. This guy is now 40. And it's going to take that 40 and append it to the end of that list. We go next. And there you go. So you can kind of see it sort of building. It's awesome. Okay, good deal. Good. So now pretty well all this stuff I can throw out. In theory now this program would work. It could use a titch of an enhancement though. It could use a titch of an enhancement. What's bothering me here, well actually let me tell you what's cool about it first of all. So what's cool about it is, and let's just go, can I just advance? No, it's not going to let me do that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. List, boom, boom. So what are the sales for today? I can go 30 and hit enter. Do I want to continue? I'm going to go yes. Now, back up to the top. What are the sales for today? Let's say 40 bucks. Submit. Next, do I want to continue? No. Now, here's the cool part. Like the previous version of this program, it was hard-coded to 5 days, right? 5 days, it was hard-coded. Obviously now, with this, the way this loop is, I can now leave and do an average now with 2 days, or 5 days, or 10 days, or whatever. I've basically add that flexibility and remove the hard coding. And so what will happen here is the total is these two variables are defined. Probably, by the way, I should move the definition of these up here, but anyway. We go down, we look at this. This is going to blow chunks. It's going to blow chunks. Why? Because it's going to try and add the 0 and the 1, but it won't be able to add the 2, the 3, or the 4, and we're going to get a pretty significant bang error list, index list out of range. And although it's highlighting this row, ultimately it had the problem when it tried to get that guy. Now, that's where it had the problem. So I put some flexibility in here, but I didn't put any flexibility down here. So again, this is where we need loops. So let's go ahead and do that. So the way I would try to do this one is I would do that that print loop that I did in the previous example. So I'd go for float sales amount. Actually, not float sales, for float daily sales amount. Okay, that's pretty long, but whatever. Is in the donut sales list. Okay, at this point, I'm not going to do any fancy processing. I just want to print it and see them pop up. Okay, and I know I just said before, don't do too many changes at once, but I'm going to do this so that it defaults to Y. All right, now that I kind of learned my lesson there. Let's go. And one other thing, quick, close and edit the code. I don't like these things being defined in the middle of what is effectively the processing section. So back up to here. Let's, Grant, you said don't do too many changes before you do your process, before you test your processing. But you know what? Do as I do, not what I say. So let's go ahead and do that and make that output. All right, output. Good deal. So I'm going to run it now, and oh, look at you, my friend. The server error is back. Oh, okay. Quick, bail out. Please run. Okay. Sorry, I'll never do that again. All right. Documentation is important. Document your code, but this guy's just not. I don't want to fight this. So there's my input processing going on. We're going to go into the loop. Go. Where's my sales for today? We're going to go 30. Going to hit the button. Okay, good deal. I'm going to go, it's going to take that list and append it. And there it is, 30. Do I want to continue? Let's try my input thing. Look, the default worked. Awesome. Let's move this thing a little bit over. The default thing worked. It's now Y. So it's going to be Y. It's going to continue. It's going to go back up. What are my sales? Just down below. I might have to shrink it a bit so we can see it all. So this is 40 bucks. I push the submit button. Good deal. It's going to take that 40 and append it to the end. I'm going to go next. There's my 40. We're going to go, do I want to continue? Let's go ahead. Boom. Yay. Continues defaulting to yes. Working like a charm. You'll find there's an addiction when you're running a program and everything's working. It's awesome. So there's 50. That's going to get appended, and it does. I don't want to continue now. And so all I'm doing now is going, and as we leave this loop, we bid a fond farewell. We now enter this loop. Now this is a neat one. So you got a while and a for. So when we hit that topic, we won't have to talk about it too much. But there's a for loop. So notice that this variable doesn't exist, but this does, right? List donuts is this. So what's going to happen is the for loop is going to spontaneously create that variable. And watch what happens when I go next. Boom. It spontaneously created that. And now it's grabbed the first value and it's just about to print them off, which isn't as exciting. Now it goes back up, and now watch what happens as we go back and continue down that loop. It's going to go and grab 40, right? So I go next, 40, and then it prints it. Now I go next, 50, and it prints it, and then off it goes. So let's use that idea for how we're going to get our total. So total donuts, what total donuts is going to be, I'm going to leave the print there for now so we can see it, but total donuts is going to be assigned total donuts, because total is 0, plus the flit amount, the flit daily amount. All right. And you know what? I don't need to print this because, of course, I'm using the visualizer. So total donuts is assigned total donuts plus the flit amount. So I don't need any of that anymore. And we're going to visualize the execution. I'm going to go next. So there's my setup. Now I'm going to go into processing land. So we go into this loop, and then we just put in those values of 30. Yes. Well, again, actually just hit the enter button. 40. Go yes. Actually hit the enter button. 50. Again, feel free with YouTube. You can slow this down if you're if you want to make sure you understand what's going on. Now I don't want to continue because I'm going to now start testing lines 16 and 17. So don't continue. Just put some crap in there. And so now what's going to happen is because MMM is not equal to Y, it's going to move to over here. It's going to set that to false. So it's going to set that to false. It's going to come back up here. Is this true? No, it's not because it's false. So then it's going to go down to here. All right, so now we get this guy. This spontaneously or implicitly would be the other way to call it. Implicitly created variable, bang, right at the bottom. And it's the first element, 30. Total donuts is still 0, but as we go to the next line, total donuts is now become 30. And so then it goes and we go into the loop again. It's now moving down the list. It's moving to 40. 40 gets added, and so 30 plus 40 would be 70, and there it goes. And so then we go into the loop again. It's about to change and go to 50, and there's 50. We go back up. It gets added. We're now at the end of the loop. It leaves, and it comes down here, and so the average donuts, which is currently 0, is going to be the total donuts, which is 120 over the length of the listed donuts, which is 1, 2, 3. So we go next, and so now the average donuts is 40, which by the way makes sense, right? 30 plus 40 plus 50 divided by 3 is going to be right in the middle, so 40. And then we get the print statements. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. And at this point, I'm tempted to stop. So this is a pretty cool thing to make sure you digest. What we've done here is this first loop is building out the list, and the second loop is basically processing the list. And then from here on out, we're actually doing the printing thing. So as much as I'd love to do input, processing, output, right? So why don't you guys spend a few minutes trying to get that to work, and then from there, I'm going to deal with the one last remaining problem. and hopefully I'll do that today. But I got one last remaining problem. I don't like it saying sales for today. I'd like it to say sales for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. I'd like it to do that. So, but for that we need one more kind of concept. So, so we'll talk about that next time.